Organized Grind with Orikal Uno.
Yeah.
Recorded live at Graph Fruit Studios in South Minneapolis.
Yes, y'all. This is Organized Grind, the podcast with Orikal Uno, checking in once again with another episode. This is episode number 37, and we have a special guest in the house from the Twin Cities hip-hop scene by the name of Just Wulf. Why don't you say what's up, man?
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah. How's everything going?
Everything's going good. Fresh off the job, still in my corporate gear, you know.
Yeah.
Making myself comfortable.
That's right.
This place is dope.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, we're gonna do like we always do on Organized Grind, the podcast. We're gonna get into some fly hip-hop shit, Twin Cities hip-hop shit. I've actually been working with Flapjacks, who's your cousin, right?
Right, yeah.
That's been dope. He has nothing but high praises for you. But outside of that, I've been watching you rap. I've been watching you do your thing for quite a while now. Like, I'm trying to put a number on it, and I feel like it's been a minute.
Right. Were you on MySpace?
I was.
I think I've known you since MySpace.
Wow.
Like, as like a name, you know? Like,
Yeah.
of course, we didn't connect back in the day.
Yeah.
But, like, I just seen Orikal Uno over everything, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know this dude from MySpace.
Damn, dude. Well,
Yeah, it's been that long.
Yeah, man. That was like when I was 15, 14, I had so much time that was the hustle.
Yeah.
Was just
Yep.
like making the best MySpace page and like the best design and just finding ways to spread the word and shit like that.
Right. And then the sacred spot of being in your top 8 or top 4 or whatever. It's like if you hit that,
Oh, yeah.
and you see a little profile picture in someone's top 4, you know they messing with you.
Or if they put your song on their page, like
Right.
that was the ultimate shit. You'd go to their page and be like,
Yup.
oh, fuck.
Yep.
They're playing my shit. But yeah, man. Well, dope. Let's go ahead and get started. Why don't we let the listeners know where are you from, where were you born, and basically where did you grow up at?
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in St. Paul, Minnesota,
Okay.
over in the Rondo community.
Nice.
Yeah. Shout out to Rondo. They just had their Rondo Day celebration last weekend.
That's right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. I already had some prior plans, but I'm sure it was spectacular.
Yeah. So what part of Rondo?
Like a block away from the Martin Luther King Community Center,
Okay.
Capitol Hill Magnet School.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you, so was that before 94 was built, or were you born after that?
After that.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So
Yep.
where did you go to school at?
So elementary school, I went to Capitol Hill
Okay.
naturally because it was a block away. I could walk to school in the mornings.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I went there first through 8th grade. Ended up at Central High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Central alum.
Yeah, that's where man, it's crazy the music scene at Central, man.
Straight
so
up.
so many dope lyricists came out of Central
Yeah.
that made a name for themselves.
Were you in that like legendary class of like the recording class that was taught by the one dude who's like a legend? What's that dude's name again?
Red?
Yeah, Red, man.
I don't know his last name. Everyone knows him by
Just
Red.
Red. That's right.
Yep. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, I took one of his production classes. I think some other students probably have taken multiple years of him, but I had one class, and it was like just like the most honorable thing to be let into like the private studio rooms. I think there were like 3 studio rooms on the main floor of Central.
Damn.
And it's like if you were making dope beats and he really liked what you were doing with the layers of the music you were making, it's like, yeah, you get a private room.
Wow, that's dope, man.
I only got it once.
Shit,
But
once is
at
better
least I
than
made
none.
it. Yeah.
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 Do you still remember like a jewel that Red taught you like to this day?
Yes. He was very, very OCD about how his chords were wrapped up.
Okay.
So, I mean, it doesn't have to do with music production, but he's like, when you put the chords away, they need to be wrapped in this type of way where, like, you would, like, fold them and then put it in a knot so then it wouldn't be able to knot itself up. You would just untie it kind of like a shoelace.
Yeah, dude.
So that's the one thing that stands out every time I wrap up my chords that way. I'm like, Red, man.
Yeah, that's dope. Yo, yeah, the first time someone schools you on chords, like your mind is just fixed from that point on. Like,
Yep.
you know, it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as far as hip hop goes, can you remember one of your very first memories of encountering hip hop?
Yeah. Encountering hip hop, like, I guess the first thing, like, listening to hip hop, I was brought up in the church.
Okay.
And I would go to, like, these, like, youth events or whatever, and they had this bookcase that had, like, books and CDs that you're able to check out and then return, like, a couple weeks later.
Sure.
But I think the first few albums I've ever, like, listened to from beginning to end were, like, Pigeon John, Grits, I'm forgetting the names, the Percussions, kind of like the gospel hip hop, which turned out to be like a lot of my influences for kind of how I carry myself and how I choose to word certain things in my music, and kind of like the overall message of what I want my music to be and how I want people to perceive it.
Sure.
So it's a lot of like uplifting, also introspective, and like kind of just giving you the real and letting you know like your story. And so that, yeah, those youth group nights or whatever they were, being able to rent out like those CDs and kind of just like understand hip hop in that way first, and then kind of diving into more of the, well, later in high school getting into the local scene, and then understanding like who Rhymesayers was,
Sure.
who are the other like indie artists that aren't Rhymesayers that are still doing their thing independently. And yeah, that's
Sure.
kind of where I had got my interest in wanting to do hip hop, is like if like certain music can make me feel better about myself and make me feel like I'm connected with someone who's gone through similar experiences as me, it's like I want to do that too.
Sure, man. So what was the very first hip hop piece of music that you actually went, searched out yourself and purchased yourself with your own money? Or cash that you got from your parents, or however you obtained the money and went out and got yourself some hip hop. Like, what was the first thing?
I think it was, I'm blanking on the name, but Eminem's record that had "Lose Yourself" on it.
Oh yeah. Was that the 8 Mile soundtrack?
It might have been.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that movie and I'm like, I need that CD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope.
So I had my Walkman and I would just put that song on repeat and memorize the lyrics and like try to mimic Eminem and his cadence and be like, yeah, I could do this.
Do you remember about what year that was, roughly?
Oh man, I want to say maybe 2007 or 2008.
Okay.
But I mean, before then, around like 2005 or so, is kind of when I started actually like making hip hop music just for fun, and then I started taking it more seriously as I got into more of the local scene and all that.
Right. So did you start making your own music first and then encounter the local scene, or did you encounter the local scene first and then that got you into making music?
I started making music before I actually knew about the local scene.
Okay. So what were you doing?
Yeah, junior high, I downloaded the demo version of Fruity Loops.
Okay.
And tried my hand at making my own beats.
Yeah.
Even before then, my parents gave me a tape recorder.
Okay.
And I would actually beatbox into the tape recorder and then like just listen to how my beats sounded like through my mouth, and just like I didn't even think about writing lyrics at the time.
Sure.
I was just like, yeah, I like these beats.
That's dope. That's dope. So you actually started producing then. That's how you started to make music, was actually making beats first.
Yep.
So what led to you feeling like you wanted to write rhymes?
Yeah, so the people who have asked me this, I usually tell this story, but the first rhyme that I ever remember writing was in 8th grade.
Okay.
We had a creative writing project, and they're like, you can write it however you want. It could be a spoken word piece. It can be a narrative. It could be like a, I don't know, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at writing a rap about Shakespeare.
Sure.
So the topic was Shakespeare, and we had to talk about all of the different styles of plays, like tragedy, romantic, I don't even know what you would call it, a romantic play. Blah, blah. But I like wrote my very first 16, and I counted out the bars, like 16 bars, and then turned that in and got an A.
So you knew what a bar was just like the first time you ever wrote?
Yeah, like just understanding, basic music theory of like measures.
Okay, yeah, okay, sure.
Knowing when to put the snare on 2 and 4 and
right, because you had actually
all that stuff,
started in the church, right, with the music. Like that's when you started to learn more about the technical side.
Yeah, I was in church. my mom's going to hate me for this, but she already knows. I would always sleep through the sermons. And then when the gospel choir would sing, like, I would get really tired and just be like, for whatever reason. And then the only thing that actually kept me awake at church was watching the drummer. So, like, just watching how he would hit certain rolls, or when he would bring the snare out, bring the snare in, just what he did with the kick drum and the hi-hats and his whole, like, ensemble of chimes and tom drums. I'm just like, man, I really like beats. It's like, that's the only thing that keeps me, like, just going and feeling like, it's the only thing I feel like that gives me energy when I listen to music, is just the beat. But then the emotional piece of it, of course, is the lyrics. But I wasn't all too much into listening to gospel music in the way where people are singing and makes you feel like very calm and like you're at peace. So, like, gospel hip hop is why it was like the drums were always heavy hitting, and the lyrics carried a message, and I'm just like, this is what I can keep up with. But when the BPM starts slowing down, I'm like, oh man.
So when you were making beats on Fruity Loops, was this about, what year was this now?
This was, I want to say 2005.
Okay, and you were still in high school?
Junior high at the time.
Junior high?
Yeah, like probably like 7th grade, going into 8th grade.
Okay. Were you showing your beats to your friends, or did you, like, what was school like at that point for you? Did you have a lot of friends? Were you like the popular guy? Were you like the introvert dude making music? Like, where was your standing?
Definitely the introvert dude who was just making music. I had very, very small circle of people that I would hang out with, who share the same interests as well. But I think so I, of course, wrote and recorded over my own beats, kind of going into freshman year of high school. But I also had my cousin Dominique, who he actually he didn't just move out to LA. He moved out to LA like years ago, and is continuing to pursue music and doing a little bit of modeling and stuff. But
nice.
My cousin Dominique, like, we would sit in the studio and like think of concepts for songs. And junior high going into freshman year, and I would say that at the time was like, I feel like I had a lot of trust issues back then, where it's like, I'm not just going to let anybody come into my house and like try to build or do something creative. It's like, I only do it with the people that I trust.
Well, and coming from where we come from in St. Paul too, I mean, a lot of the cats into rap, like, I remember hearing stories of people letting people come over and then they're getting robbed for their studio gear and all that stuff too, you know?
Yeah. My parents were very anxious. They were like, that had a big influence too. It's like, don't let just anybody into our house. It's like, we need to meet them. We need to talk to the parents on the phone. They're like I guess nowadays the term is helicopter parents.
Okay, sure.
So like hovering over me all the time.
Yeah.
But
so when you first started to make beats, who were some of your influences at the time that you may have been crafting your first beats after?
I liked a lot of the beats from the Grits records.
Okay.
Grits, they're a duo, a guy named Coffee and a dude named Bonafide, but like they're from the South, so like all of their beats were they didn't sound like, you know, Southern trap beats nowadays, but they were very drum heavy. Yeah. And I feel like that anytime I made a beat, I would open a new session and really just start on the drums. Just like, I want a really cool drum pattern, and then I took a little bit of piano lessons, and so I tried to like come up with melodies, but they were never that great. They're just like, I just like the drums. Yeah. But I mean, going into high school, I started listening to more of the West Coast type of vibe. So Stone's Throw, I listened to a lot of MF Doom, Madlib, Jay Dilla, even though he's from Detroit, but yeah. I mean,
so sorry to cut you off, but where were you getting your hip hop influence at the time? Like, who was putting you on to people like Stone's Throw and Doom and people like that?
So I remember a guy from my junior high who when we went to the same high school, we went to Central, but a guy named Danny Jacobson gave me Brother Ali's album Shadows on the Sun. Okay. He actually didn't give me the album. He gave me we were burning CDs back then.
CD with like...
So, yeah, don't sue me, brother.
Out of out of sync, and
Right.
you might not have a song or two.
Right, yeah. Don't sue me, Brother Ali and Rhyme Sayers.
Yeah.
But no, I had a bootleg copy of Shadows on the Sun, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, I really like this dude. And so I feel like after that happened, I learned about the very first sound set where Brother Ali was performing at.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I couldn't attend, and so I think the very next year I went to the second sound set.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you were talking about the sound set at the Metrodome parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay, not the 97 house party sound
Right,
set.
yeah.
All right, cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, no, it's all good.
it was
It's all
like
good. Just
early,
wanna-
late 2000s.
Yeah.
That I actually went to Soundset one
Yeah,
of those
man.
years.
We've had like Extreme on, and he's talked the whole 97, 98 Soundset. Zach too. If any of the listeners are interested to hear the history of Soundset from some of the people that performed there, they can check out some of the prior episodes of the podcast. Just a little cheap plug for the podcast
Hey,
there.
gotta do it.
So, Brother Ali, was it that same friend who was also putting you on, like, here's a mix of stuff of other people like Doom and Stone's Throw? Or at that point, did you just start searching for related people and musicians? Like, how did you build your library of, like, eccentric hip-hop, if you will?
Yeah, so I suppose after coming back to him and asking, like, where's this dude from? And he's like, oh, he's from North Minneapolis. I'm like, for real? He's like, what else you got? And so I don't exactly remember. I'm sure he introduced me to Atmosphere as well.
Okay.
But yeah, my freshman year of high school, I also remember borrowing a CD from my friend in biology class, and I think he gave me, it was a High Respects record. I don't remember what it was called. It was like something with lions or tigers.
Yeah, man.
Lions and tigers.
Yeah, that's the one with fives, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yep. That's the one.
They're from the same school.
Yeah.
You know
And so
what
when
I'm
I
saying?
found that out, I'm like, what? It's like
Central in the house.
Yeah, right. I'm like, okay, I can actually do this. I feel like that understanding more of the local scene and like where people came from and listening to their music and being like, just like, well, I'm at St. Paul Central. I might as well try to make a name for myself and see where this music thing takes me.
Yeah, man.
It was very encouraging.
So I graduated from St. Paul in 2006. Did they still have the Black Box
Yeah.
at Central?
Yep. I've done a ton of shows at the
Did
Black
you?
Box.
Aw,
Yeah.
dude, you're a fucking legend, bro.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah, dog.
Yeah.
I've heard just amazing stories, just some of the craziest shows that have went on there, just from people that have went on to do amazing things. So
Yeah.
for you to be able to say that you played there is definitely like some St. Paul stripes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I had a band kind of like a hip hop / rock band at the time called Manzana Casa, and so we played a ton of shows there, and then we kind of split up, and I started doing my own thing. Well, I was already doing my own thing, but it was like a supplemental, like I'm a solo hip hop artist and I'm also in a band. But then like upperclassmen years was just solo Just Wulf shows in the Black Box.
Okay. And so you graduated what year?
2010.
2010.
Yep.
Word. Well, yo, let's go ahead. We're going to get into the first commercial break here, and then we can start talking about kind of how your career went from the beginning to how you've led to being on the road and everything like that.
Yeah.
Me and you are also playing a show on August 30th at Can Wonderland in
That's right.
St. Paul, Minnesota for the B&E Hip Hop Hoedown. Just recorded a new commercial for that, so I'm going to go ahead and let that commercial run. This is Organized Grind, the podcast, episode 37 with Orikal Uno, kicking it with Just Wulf. We will be right back. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Orikal Uno to let you know that on August 30th in St. Paul, Minnesota at Can Wonderland, B&E Music is throwing their annual hip-hop hoedown. B&E Music is back with their annual one-day hip-hop festival, the Hip Hop Hoedown. This year they have 2 stages at Can Wonderland. Come out for an insane lineup, awesome local vendors, indoor mini golf, arcade games, crazy drinks, good food, good vibes, and it's only $5. You can catch me, Orikal Uno, rocking the Wonderland stage, along with Professor Fresh, Prime and PM, Uncle Slump from Chicago, Skydro and Nacho Suave, Rhymester from Chicago, Logan Michaels, Capacity, Just Wulf, Acronym, IO and Walrus, Chrono Alchemy, and Genre Treason, DJ'd by I.O., hosted by Dr. Murr. Some of the live art and vendors include True Heads Clothing, Super Kush, Good Times Tattoo, Midwest American Shaman, Signature Artwork, and so much more. This is 21 plus, only $5. Doors are at 8:30 p.m. Check out the B&E Music Hip Hop Festival, the Hip Hop Hoedown in St. Paul, Minnesota, August 30th, Can Wonderland, 8:30 p.m. See you there. Yeah, Organized Grind, the podcast with Orikal Uno. We got Just Wulf in the house, episode 37. Shout out B&E Music Crew for their Hip Hop Hoedown. You can catch both of us rapping our asses off at that next month. Yeah, man, we were just getting into your history, how you came up, where you grew up at, Central in the motherfucking house, and all that. So why don't we go ahead, we'll take a step forward. When did you start noticing that your music career was getting a little more serious?
Yeah, probably around so I'm going to share a little story.
Yeah.
I guess some knowledge that I learned.
Okay.
But I think 2009, so I was my junior year. This was a little after the time I heard about Big Quarters.
Okay, yeah.
And so I want to say I want to give a lot of my credit to a lot of the credit of like taking it to the next level of what I learned from them. So they were, they had a summer program called Songwriting and Production over at Hope Community. And so around the time that I was like I was saying before, like getting, what am I trying to say? Trying to like understand all the other artists in the scene. I was like, I came across Big Quarters. I saw they also performed at one of the sound sets I didn't go to. But I was like, oh, dope. And it's like, then they have this songwriting and production course that I took the bus to over the summer, I want to say of 2009. And then they really taught everyone like, here's like the fundamentals for making a beat. Here are the fundamentals and like the songwriting concepts or brainstorming you can do when writing a song. And so like after I kind of had my own experimental, like me kind of just trying to figure things out, that summer is when it really clicked for me that I was like, all right, so I need to make sure, the songs have a nice intro, verse, chorus, and then you kind of want to have like a resolution in the second verse to make it feel like a whole full song, and you're not just like writing about two random concepts in two different verses and just slapping a song title.
Just bars, just random ass
right.
bars.
Yeah. So they really told me, like this, like if you want to do this for real, like here's our knowledge, here's what we can offer you, and take it and use it however you want. And so I got a lot of confidence through that. What was really dope is they had a guy come in, DJ Gnome the drummer.
Yeah.
And he was like doing free scratches on people's beats. So I brought in,
that's dope.
Yeah, I brought in one of my beats that I sampled from I think it was the Castlevania theme song from like Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Just like insanely ridiculous drums on it because I wanted it to bang. And like he put scratches on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like this is so intense. Like I don't know if I can be that intense when I record and put a song on it or put lyrics on it. But I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna keep it as it is.
Word.
Yeah.
Were you in the same class with Simon and all of like the audio perm kids?
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, yeah. So if Simon went to that class, I don't remember him, unfortunately. But for sure, Julian Fairbanks.
That's right. Yep.
Taylor Madrigal. I think Corey Grinberg showed up a few times. But there's like pictures of us goofing around on a MacBook, taking pictures in like the photo booth or whatever it was.
That's dope.
But that's I feel like that's where we all kind of got our our really like true knowledge of the hip hop scene, and like here's where you can go with these tools and that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. And I apologize to those guys for stuttering on their name, but Audio Perm, they always reminded me of the second coming of like Big Quarters and Fam Feud.
Right. Yeah.
This is a pretty good segue into what I wanted to talk about next. But I just remember when Big Quarters was really, they used to be EPL and Snakebird. That was their like first group name.
Right. Yep.
And then
Yep.
just watching their like come up was like super dope. And then the fact that they taught more people and basically bred like a whole new I'm gonna stutter on the word again, generation of producers and MCs and everything. It's just beautiful. But
Yeah.
I actually played my first like officially booked show. It was me, Big Quarters, and Illuminous 3.
Dope.
And so
Yeah.
that was the first time anyone asked me to come perform. And like I just remember like there's tape somewhere, but like I'm up there just standing in one place, just like kind of just looking horrified and just stiff as hell, just like making sure I'm rapping and like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But they were always just super nice and cool, and the same thing that you had said, like they were just like keep at it, man. You
Yeah.
know, and so
Yeah, that's a great first show to have.
yeah, man. I definitely think so as well. I think that was like 2004 or 2003. But yeah, that's just super dope that you got to go through that class, because I'd always heard about it, but I never spoke with anyone that actually went through it. So to hear that like you really took some gems
Yeah.
from that is really cool.
Absolutely.
But so as far as first shows go, what was the first time that you went on stage, grabbed a mic, and performed?
So this kind of goes back to what I was telling you about with the Shakespeare rap.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up getting referred to entering like our school's talent competition at the end of the year. And so it was I was in choir at the time for whatever reason. I was saying how bored I get with being in the choir, but I think my parents knew I wanted to do something with my voice, and so I tried out choir, and I was like one of 3 bass or tenors or something.
Okay.
Like our Capitol Hill choir.
Yeah.
Man, it's so funny looking at pictures. I know I'm getting off track, but I'm like imagining the one picture where like the dude in the back with the huge afro, like that
Sure.
was me.
And just to let you know, man, we have no track here, man. We're just
Yeah.
kicking it, chopping it up, talking hip hop memories, you know?
Yeah. So, so that teacher, she was like, you should try doing something for this talent show. And of course, like it's 8th grade, they don't hand out prizes. It's not like whoever wins, blah, blah, blah. Everyone needs to feel equal and feel like that they matter, you know? But, yeah, it wasn't a competition, but I actually took a tape of me beatboxing
Okay.
and had it play in the background in their tape deck. And then I rapped my Shakespeare creative writing piece that I got an A on in front of like the whole student class.
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
That's tight.
I don't know if it was recorded, but I have no idea what I was like on stage. I was probably the same way, just like standing in one place, making sure I'm like audible enough that people can hear me.
Yeah.
But like that's the first time I've ever been on stage and actually like showed other people like what I can do musically.
And what was the feeling like when like you were done and they were clapping and all that good stuff?
Yeah,
Did it feel
I know
good?
deep down I probably felt really good, but I was just nervous. I'm sure the mic was like shaking in my hand, and I like, yeah, I feel like that was a huge breakthrough for me, because being so introverted, I'm like, nah, I'm not getting on stage and doing nothing.
Sure. That's dope, man. So as far as starting to perform around like at a first real hip hop show,
Yeah.
what was your first real hip hop show like?
Yeah, so
Performing at it, I should say.
yeah, so the band I was in, we actually had like this incredible opportunity to open up for POS's. It was like heavy metal band.
Okay.
Building Better Bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the 7th Street entry. Like
Yeah.
thinking about like I've never had a show at the 7th Street entry since that day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for whatever reason. I'm gonna book myself a 7th Street
it,
entry
man.
show pretty soon here, but yeah, like we got referred to another kind of like alternative band called the Shoe Shiners. They were
Okay.
in high school at the time, but they had a connection with POS and his band, and so our band opened up for the Shoe Shiners and Building Better Bombs.
That's dope.
So it wasn't a hip hop show, but
Okay.
we brought our hip hop flavor to it.
Sure. So when did you, I mean, are you still performing with this band at all? Is this band still around to this day?
It is not. Yeah, it became defunct. And like there's some dispute with upperclassmen and people, I'm not going to mention no names, but you know who you is, man.
No,
we're on good terms though.
Good.
If he ever listens to this, he'll think it's funny.
Dope.
But he like decided to drop our band and start another band with some upperclassmen who he was on the swim team with.
Yeah.
And so we look back and we're like, man, we were actually going somewhere. But like the horrible part is that their music was like a joke band. And so like they were called the girls badminton team. That was their name.
Got it.
And so they just like rocked out and just didn't have a set, and they just did whatever felt right. And they just, I guess it was kind of improv and kind of a joke.
Sure.
But we performed in the same spot in the black box. I was just like, man, it's like we could have been something so much better. We even performed at Grand Ole Day.
Oh, that's dope.
One of those years. There was a high school Battle of the Bands. That's right. And we came in second place out of 6.
Dope, man. So what made you take the step to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start this Just Wulf thing. Has Just Wulf always been something that has been in your mind, or did you make a conscious decision to be like, I'm going to start this Just Wulf brand and go solo? Yeah.
So before I was I'll answer your question. Before I was Just Wulf, I was Jay Wheezy.
Okay.
And you had a Half Pint on the show, didn't you?
Yeah.
So him and I were in the same computer classes back in the day. This was like also junior high around that time.
Okay.
So like when he heard I was making beats and trying to rap, and like, you know, we were goofing off, and he would call me, I think he would just call me Wheezy. And so that kind of just stuck with me, and I was like, I wasn't trying to bite Lil Wayne, but I mean, I put the J in front of it and went by Jay Wheezy.
Nice.
And then I had a moment where I was like, this is too silly. I'm going to go by MC Jay Wheezy. And I'm like, that's even sillier. It's like serious and then like goofy. So I'm like, you know what? I like Just Wulf. I'm going to go with Just Wulf because my biological name's Justin Wolf. So I just dropped the I-N off of it. And
right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I sounded surprised, but I knew that.
You did? Oh.
Yeah. Well, because of Facebook and all that, I see your full name.
Yeah. But I thought you meant you knew that Kyle was calling me Jay Weezy.
Oh no, I never knew that. But shout out to Half Pint.
Yeah. Oh man.
So Just Wulf. So what year did Just Wulf start? Yeah.
So I want to say also around 2009 with the hip hop songwriting and production classes with Big Quarters.
Okay.
So March of 2010 is when I dropped my very first project. I had like EPs and mixtapes and stuff under Jay Wheezy.
Okay.
Which the only place you can probably find them are on my computer or in my dad's basement somewhere.
Nice.
So those did not, I think those had some internet time, but I don't know if you could find those on the internet.
Sure.
They're gems that I'm going to keep away from.
Yeah. So I wish I would have did that shit with some of my old shit too, man. So this was your senior year then?
Yep. So I had, I didn't know, like, I guess I did know. So like people have CD release parties and all that good stuff. And so it's like, if I'm going to drop an album, I need to make sure I have a CD release party the week after the album drops.
Yeah.
And so like when I dropped the album, I didn't have anywhere to drop it. Of course, I just like I had a sign on my backpack that said I had CDs for sale, and that's how I was selling CDs in school.
Nice.
And so later that week, like after people copped the album, I had organized a show at Station 4, which I don't think they're around anymore.
R.I.P. Station 4, but it's a beautiful venue.
Yeah, so I remember like sending my very first emails and like trying to sound really professional. And they had told me that they have had bad turnouts or bad crowds with hip hop shows. So they stopped booking hip hop shows there, and focused on,
metal and shit.
Yeah. And so like I tried to reinsure, like this is the only venue that I knew of that I thought I had a chance with booking because they had all ages. They did all ages at that show or at that venue.
That's right.
And so I don't remember who the booking person was, but I was like, I can assure you, like, all the artists on the bill are all, friendly, positive people who, like, they're not going to bring, like, a bunch of gang members or a bunch of whatever. So I kind of tried to, sell myself in a way that I guess was genuine. Like, I picked the people to open up for that show who I knew had really dope music. There were a couple people who came out who were at Central at the time that opened up as well. But I was just like, I can assure you it's going to be a good show. Like the people I'm bringing, like here's their music. There's going to be a lot of parents there because it's a high school show. Like I'm sure parents are going to be in the back chilling because it's like, we're not just going to drop off our kids at a bar.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, and then they were like, yeah, so since it's an all ages show, you got to be out by this time. We need to bring a security guard. We're going to take off this amount of money off of the top of the door because there's a security guard. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here for all ages shows. But yeah, I was like, this is actually this is gonna be a real thing. Like I'm having my own CD release party.
Yeah, man.
I have pictures of that too. I love going back and looking at pictures, but just like I can pick out all the different faces of people in my class and even some of the people who are below in my grade or who are like juniors, sophomores that showed up and were like influenced by me.
Nice.
And I mean, it was such a great feeling being on stage. And I even got I had Big Quarters on my debut album, and
nice.
They showed up, like popped up and did that song with me on stage, and I was like,
that's love,
almost
man.
in tears. I'm like, damn, it's like my idols or my mentors, like are here to like show love and have it all just like come full circle. It was such a great feeling.
Zach and Brandon for sure, man. Those are some quality dudes.
Hell yeah.
So it turned out good. It sounds like.
Yeah. The turnout was. I couldn't have asked for a better turnout. I had like flyers and stuff posted up like in the stairwells in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
All that stuff. But a confession is Miss Mary McBee.
Okay.
She just retired this last year. Or this past summer, I think she retired. But she was like, yeah, if you post flyers in the school, you need to have this little stamp that says you're going to donate 10% of the proceeds to like the music department or whatever. And so like I was waiting for her to come and check me or come and find me after the show so I could give them 10%. But I'm like, I didn't really make that much money. And plus I made most of the money off of selling CDs. So I ended up not donating it. But yeah, she had her little Mary McBee signature on there or like stamped on there on all of the flyers. It's like, this is too funny. Yeah.
All right. So then I don't want to jump ahead too much, but time, I mean, we're just getting lost in the good time here. But so from that point on, I mean, did you make it a point like, yo, like this turned out good, I'm gonna continue to do this, or I'm gonna start to reach out, or like what was the next step? Because at some point you ran into Carnage and got down with the crew, right? So
Hecatomb, the crew.
Yeah, man. So what was the transition from your first release party to Hecatomb?
Yeah, so let's see. Are you familiar with Max Spills?
Yeah, man. Shout out Max Spills. Hell yeah, dude. He not only is he one of the funniest dudes, but like
absolutely.
I've seen him rap his ass off.
Yeah, so he's my cousin.
Oh, okay.
And so is Megatron.
Word
John
up.
Moore,
yeah, hell yeah. Yo, those dudes, we go way the fuck back.
Hell yeah. So man. they were in Hecatomb, and before like I pieced all these things together, I was listening to a High Respects album that had Carnage the Executioner featured on it. And that's where I was like, oh, who's this dude? Let me like dig in the crates and look for some of his older music to like Sense of Sound and blanking on more names. Worth the Wait. I think Worth the Wait came out around the time I dropped my album.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I started following him and I saw him perform at a sound set, I think 2009, 2010. So around the time where I was trying to drop my debut album, I'm like, I really need to get into networking with people and all that good stuff. And so I saw him perform. I told him Megatron and Max Spills were my cousin because they were in Hecatomb. And I'm like, hey, man, what does it take to be a part of Hecatomb? Yeah. Now, remember, this is back in like 2010 or 2009. And like we really didn't start like talking to each other or like hopping on shows with each other until maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. Okay. And so he like, I think his view of me was like, who's this Just Wulf kid? Like, why is he approaching me in this type of way? Like, his cousins are cool and all that. And then he had told me when we were on the road, and we'll get to this too, but I went on tour with him last year. Yep. And
we'll for sure talk about that.
Yeah, he was telling me like, it's like ever since that day, like I kind of kept an eye on you. Like anytime you would pop up either on MySpace or Facebook, like the feed, he would kind of like see what I was doing. And when I started like kind of putting out merch and getting a ton more shows and all that good stuff, I think we shared a show one time at Amsterdam, and then he was like, "We need to sit down and talk." And so that's when I was initiated into in Hecatomb, or I guess brought along on Hecatomb, when he was kind of doing that like revival of Hecatomb.
That's right.
Yeah, because I didn't realize like the catalog and like all the different people on the roster back in the day until there's a lot of history with Hecatomb.
There's this one dude, I'm not sure if he's still around, but he was called like Jerk or like the Jerk or something from like California. And like this was like 2005 or 2004, and like Carnage put him down, and like dude was sick. Like there was Hecatomb members like all over the U.S. since like the early 2000s, and I remember just being so impressed by like, damn, this crew's crazy.
Yep.
You know, that's super dope. So at that point, then you're down with the crew. Did you notice any particular uptick in your status at that point, or was it just like, all right, well, now we're partners, now let's try to work this out? And basically, what happened after the sit down? Like, did you guys plot to do shows together, or was there a plan now for you to develop you, or?
There wasn't really anything that stood out that was like, all right, now that you're in Hecatomb, you need to do these things or follow these guidelines or whatever. Right. It was more like, it definitely felt more like a family. It was like, we're bringing you into this family. Like, here are the different resources. We got producers from across the country, even a producer in Germany. And it's like, mess with these dudes. Like, hit them up and ask them, like, if they have any beats and, like, or doing collaborative projects. And so, like, I started to talk more to like Katana the Don, Capacity, and then Mose also I think was brought into Hecatomb around that time too, and so he started like recruiting members around the time that I got pulled into it. And and I mean, I told him there were a couple things I asked him, like straight up, like I want to be able to like sit in one of your studio sessions or one of your recording sessions and just like see what it's like to record professionally, because up and like even still to this day, like I just have my bedroom studio, got my soundproofing material in the closet with my mic stand, condenser mic, and just recording out of my house. But I'm just like, I want to see like what it's like to actually record, and what are the other pieces of recording and putting together a cohesive project that I could learn from you or learn from any of the other members. And so he kind of brought me in that way. And as he saw that I was taking things more seriously and dropped another project 2015 and started like putting out merch and like trying to treat it as more of a business as well as the creative side. It was just like, and you've seen Carnage's merch game.
Hell yeah,
that man don't play.
Dude, Carnage has been, man, one of the first hip hop shows that I went to around here. Carnage was a packed show, and he was like, I got my last CD right here. I got my last CD. Who wants my last CD? And like, I hadn't seen him rap yet. I didn't know about his like status or anything. I was like, I'll buy your CD. I'm like 14. I got $5 here, man. I'll take it. And it was the Sweeps CD. And like the Sweeps was like them just on their like Megatron shit, just like Decepticon, like just crazy lyrics and just
bar for bar, just hardcore.
It's like robotic Wu-Tang or like Gundam Wu-Tang, like Gundam Tang or something. Like it's ill, gritty ass beats.
Hell yeah.
But man, that was like 2003, and he was already on like check Carnage out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've always admired what he's been able to do for himself and the brand that he's built, and he's also another rare case of he's really fucked with everyone that matters here, and is still unaffected by the politics. It seems like there's been moments of frustration that we've all seen him go through, but he's been able to rise above that and like really become his own star. And like he's always been on that. So yeah, why don't we go ahead? We'll talk about that tour. So through the relationship, you guys are starting to do more shows. You're obviously getting more comfortable on stage. You're developing as an artist. You've been in the game for about 10 years at this point this year, right? 10 years. So naturally, a tour should come around at some point, and it sounds like that happened last year. Yeah.
So last year, April 2018. I have a full-time job. I'm an IT guy, IT professional.
Sure.
I've never understood, or I've never worked it out in my head, like, how can I go on tour and also keep my job?
Take PTO and...
Yeah. So, I mean, we had talked here and there about his Minnesota Mean tours and potentially hopping on, like, his weekend dates where, like, he would do, like, Duluth, St. Cloud, and then go in Wisconsin. Oh, no, that was Welcome to Minnesota. So he was just doing Minnesota dates. So like Winona, Rochester, and so on.
Sure.
And so I think I hopped on a couple of those. And when he like decided that I was like road warrior material at that point, the opportunity came up where I feel like I kind of and this is where like I was so confident to the point where I was like, yo, I need to be on one of your tours. Where like I could see the vision and could see the outcome. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I just could see like I need to go on the road with this dude.
Right. So
I was like saving PTO up like a madman, and I had 2 weeks to burn around the time when April 2018 came around, and so it worked out. Like I was able to take off like a Thursday or something of work, hop on the road with him. Actually, no, I take that back. So I didn't hop on the road with him at that time. I joined him halfway during his tour because he does like 50 plus, sometimes 60 dates like for a tour.
He's gotten serious,
and he has multiple parts of his tour, like part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I need to see what this tour life is like. And so I flew out to Colorado so like we worked it out where I would fly like halfway through his tour and then drive back with him.
Sure.
So we didn't leave together, but I met him halfway and we drove back together. And so those 2 weeks of PTO were well spent.
Nice. So let's slow it down just for a lesson for anybody that might be hearing this right now, who might be getting into hip hop, who might be new in their career as an MC or DJ or whoever who might be touring. What were some of the first lessons of the road that you learned as far as things to do and things not to do? And more specifically on the things not to do. Like, what were some of the things that you kind of found out the hard way? Because it fucking happens to all of us.
Yeah. I mean, so me and him get along pretty well. There are certain ways of doing things that, like he's been on so many tours that there are certain ways that you do things in terms of like unpacking, packing up the car, where to park, and just like, I took a back seat and it was just like, I want to watch how this dude operates and not try to be too, because I worked up until this point to get on the tour. I didn't want to like call the shots or like say whatever. Yeah. But there's some other stories with this last tour earlier this year. That I could probably talk about. But
yeah, man.
I mean, I don't know. I offered to drive. So it was his car, his Trailblazer we were driving, but I offered to drive every once in a while to like make sure I was doing my fair share of the driving.
Yeah.
I mean, he drove for most of the part. I would definitely drive at times where I was like very awake and comfortable with driving like 7. I think 7-8 hours is like the longest stretch we've had to do. But he plans his tours out so well that like we don't ever skip a day, or there's never a day that's wasted. It's we leave the hotel at this time. We're gonna drive this amount of distance, and then boom, we're there right for loading in and mic check and all that stuff. And so I don't think that I can't say that there was anything that surprised me that like I don't know, surprised me in like things not to do, I guess. But actually maybe there's one thing. So like trying to follow his pace. And so like being an artist is like you want to take your time and set things up and all that stuff. And so I was kind of anxious about it all and being away from home and that kind of thing. So I'm like, what can I do next? Like, can I set your stuff up? Do you want me to set your stuff? He's like, no, I got it. And so I found myself like having to take a chill pill a little bit more and like having that apprentice type of mentality of I'm gonna just let the boss do his thing and let me know how I can help. Otherwise, like it's like fast paced and slow paced. Like the slow pace is driving to the next destination, unpacking, unloading, all that stuff, and you're kind of just waiting for the time to perform. And it's like you spent the last 24 hours like mentally preparing for the next stop, and it's like you want to do your best in that 20-minute set or that 25-minute set. Yeah. And so I guess the anxiety kind of got to me where it was like, what do I need to do? Is like I'll just go grab a drink and just kind of chill in the back and that good stuff. But I think one thing I could have done more is maybe network with more of the people. Okay. A lot of people visited our merch booth. We had ours side by side. Yeah. Or a merch table. So, I mean, I connected with people that way. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know if, like, still kind of, like, following his lead, like, should we just, like, talk to everyone and, like, should I introduce myself? Or should I just wait until I get on stage and then people can follow me? Yeah. And try to, like, figure out who I am. Yeah. So, I mean...
back to Big Quarters, one of the things that they did that always impressed me when I was younger was I would see them right after they would get off stage. They would literally walk up to everybody that's in the crowd and be like, hey, I'm Brandon, hey, I'm Zach.
Right, yeah.
How's the show?
Very personal, yeah.
Yeah, and they would go to every single person and be like, hey, how was the show? How can we make it better? Are you having fun? What's up?
Right.
You know, and that shit works, you know?
One thing that they taught me, which I still do to this day, is always remember the sound man's name.
Hell yeah.
And shout him out on stage. Like, you don't just be like, hey, sound man, turn me up, or sound man, do blah, blah, blah. It's like, he has a name. He needs to be respected because that guy or woman is, he or she is in charge of the sound. Like, if you mess with the sound man or sound woman, you're going to sound like crap.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You definitely want to thank them and, make it personal that, like, they're taking care of you. You're taking care of them by just respecting them and making sure that they're acknowledged.
Yeah, man, for sure. That's valuable. Mm-hmm. So what was the first tour? What was the favorite show that you played on there?
Ooh.
What city?
First tour, I'd have to say Ogden. So Ogden, Utah, and then I'm trying to remember the other spot. I think it was also in Utah. But there's this place called the Gym. Utah. Yeah. Or no, Idaho Falls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Idaho. So those two places for, like, the crowds were really nice. The people who opened up were really nice. It was just like, it was an all-around good show in terms of people who wanted to come see hip-hop. Like, there are just little pockets of hip-hop communities in each of those cities. Like, we didn't get to do Salt Lake City until last year. Okay. But, 2 years ago, we were hitting the hip-hop community pockets that really had, like, people who came out to every single hip-hop show that was thrown because, like, they just can't get enough of it. Yeah. So, I mean, when they saw Carnage come out, it was like, yeah. Right. Like, it was... So, the Ogden show at... what was it called? I forget the venue's name. But the Ogden show, like, literally from front in the stage, like, people going crazy, like, throwing their hands up all the way to the very back of the venue was packed. I was like, man, the energy here is insane.
That's dope, man. So when you came back from that first tour, like, all right, you're back from the tour, like, you're back home. Finally, it's been a minute since you've been home. What were some of the feelings, some of the thoughts that you had? Like, were you hooked at that point, or were you exhausted? Were you like, I don't want to tour again for a year, or like, what were you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely glad to be home. I'm married, and I had...
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And I had just my daughter at the time. I just had a son this past, like 3 months ago.
Triple congratulations.
Yeah. Bro. Yeah, but like I hadn't been away from my wife for, I don't even know, more than like 5 days or something like that since we got married. So like being away from her for 2 weeks and being away from my daughter who was like a year old, like... It hit me. I was just like, I tried to call them whenever I could, and or I guess the Android version of FaceTiming, video duoing them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the Android app, and so like, I definitely got homesick, probably more towards the second half of the tour, but I mean, things were exciting, and it was a different crowd, different energy every time.
Yeah.
Which kept my mind off of it. But
It's good you weren't touring back in like the 90s when like you probably had to like send a postcard and be like, I really miss you guys. Here's a picture. Please send a picture 3 days to this state.
2 days later, 2 or 3 days later.
But yeah, that's got to be hard, man. But luckily, technology helps keep you in touch a little bit.
Yeah.
So we are going to go a little bit over just because I'm really into this tour talk, and I really feel like this is some good stuff for people to listen to, and especially those getting into the game and who might be into the game. But so what year did this first tour happen?
This was just last year, so March, April 2018.
2018. And then so you went on your second tour this year?
Yep. With Carnage as well.
Okay. Go ahead and talk about that one.
March, April. So a lot of the things that I learned from the first tour, I expected to happen during the second tour.
Okay. Did you put out a new project, or did you have new stuff to push, or did you up the merch game, or what were some of the preparations for the second tour now that like you've seen it, you've been through it, you got the experience, you know what to expect?
Yeah. So I mean, since I knew that we were going to be hitting the same same hip hop pockets. We were tight. Touring that same area, so it was good for me to get on that tour because I was like now like reestablishing who I was, and like people didn't. I don't want to seem cocky, but like people didn't come to see just Carnage anymore. It was like they came to see Carnage and Just Wulf.
Fly.
And like the second tour was incredible. I mean, there were people who I sold shirts to at that show, at the shows on the tour last year that came back, and like there was at least one person at every show that rocked a Just Wulf shirt.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, man,
hell yeah.
They're like, some people were making jokes like, I didn't know whether to wear the Carnage shirt or the Just Wulf shirt. I had to go with the Wolf, and I'm like, yeah. But I mean, I expected.
The brand is strong, man. I mean, you guys both win at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I upped. I think I modified my logo a little bit. Had different colored shirts. Printed some more CDs, and I try to make sure that I had something to sell, because for like independent tours like this, like me and Carnage made the deal up front that like he wanted to make sure I wasn't spending any money out of pocket.
Nice.
So like the whole tour was covered in terms of him getting money from the door.
Yep.
The tip bucket, that's probably the number one thing that everyone who goes on tour needs to have, is a tip bucket.
Okay.
Because he was able to pay all of our gas and most of our, if not all of our hotel expenses.
Damn, just off the tip bucket?
Yeah.
Crucial.
Yeah. It's insane.
That's a gem right
there. Like there are people who really respect the grind, and it's like, yeah, we're going to throw in $20. We're going to throw in $50. And it's like, you just never expect what's going to be in that tip bucket after the end of the night.
Nice.
There's some questionable things in that tip bucket when we went to North Dakota, but I ain't going to talk about that.
Oh, come on, man. How about one of the questionable things?
One of the questionable things. Well, there was a...
What does it rhyme with?
Rhymes with dunt. No, I'm just kidding. So there was like they said that it was a blunt that was rolled in a palm tree leaf or something.
Huh.
And so we picked it up, and I told him to hold it so I could take a picture of him, and he's like, no, stop. But we ended up just giving it to the DJ who was performing or who helped put on the show and all that stuff. And they're like, we're going to go smoke this right now.
Right.
So they went to the back and did it. I'm like, so how was it?
Yeah, good luck with that.
I don't know nothing about no palm tree. Like, what's going on? I was like, someone was generous enough to put in a palm tree blunt into the tip bucket.
That's wild, man.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. So, I mean.
Was the second tour longer than the first one?
Second one, I want to say it was probably about the same length.
Okay.
Maybe like a couple days shorter based on when I was able to go out. But yeah, with that second tour, my wife was pregnant with our second child.
Oh,
and so
shit.
I was also in my anxious brain again, like,
yeah,
I hope the baby doesn't come early. That's what I was fearing the whole time, but it would have been like a whole month early if that was the case.
Yeah, but that's still scary as shit, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we hit some, or I guess maybe like half of the stops were the same, but then the other half were new venues and new crowds. And so there were a couple of surprises in there where we had we actually did Salt Lake City this time around, and we were at like a huge event center. that was just like, it reminded me of like, no, probably not Myth Nightclub. That's way too big. But I mean, it was like a legitimate like event center where everyone had wireless mics and
Nice.
Man. And then they gave us a recording of the show afterwards, which was really cool.
Oh, wow.
For whatever reason, I didn't know that was a thing, and I didn't know you could get recordings of like your whole set, like just on a CD or through Dropbox or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I went back and listened to it, and I was like, yeah, I killed it.
Yeah, man. It's always wild as you're kind of going through the ranks of doing the hip hop shows and shit. Just kind of like the benefits that you stumble across. You're like, this is a thing. Like, oh shit, I never knew that. Like big V's never offered me this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's always crazy to be like, I didn't know I could even ask for this shit.
Right. I mean, both tours for me were profitable on my end with
dope.
Selling, like, the very first tour I sold out of all of my merch. I literally had an empty tote box and empty bags of nothing. Like, all my merch was gone. Everyone bought everything, which was a really nice feeling.
That's tight.
Second time around, I brought more merch and took up a little bit more space on the in the Trailblazer, but I had like some leftover hoodies and hoodies and stuff that I wanted to try to sell, but I came back with a few hoodies that time.
Sure.
I think I sold out all the shirts that time too.
Damn.
So I mean, if you're going on tour, you definitely need to up your merch game and make sure you have enough of every size to make sure everyone gets a little piece of you by the end of the show.
Yeah, so like when you get t-shirts, like how much of each size do you wind up getting?
Yeah, there's some charts out there that kind of show like the demographic of what people buy.
Oh, really?
But like, what is it called? If you ever, you know what a parabola is?
Yeah,
like mathematical parabola, where it's like the value is low and then in the middle it's high and then it goes back down.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like most of the sizes are like a large, and then like medium and XL are the second. You should have the second most quantity of, and then like small 2XL and like 3XL are like the lowest,
Sure.
the lowest quantity.
Man, this last run, like the requests of 2XLs have been off the chain, and I'm just like, what? Like I'm getting like I had all 2XL, and I'm like, I got a shit ton of XLs.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I need 2XL. Like at least 15 people have been
Right.
like, I need 2XL or larger, bro.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm like,
I've had to make way more 2XLs recently than I've had in the past years.
scary trend.
I feel like it's either. I mean, I wear a 2XL, so I'm gonna be dogging myself, but like I feel like people are getting bigger and bigger, but at the same time, like we are through this whole we experience like this whole like skinny jeans and tight clothes trend again.
Yeah, right.
So I feel like it's like slowly coming back to
Back to
having more
baggy.
baggy clothes, you know?
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for that shit. I'm gonna bust out all the vintage South Pole joints and everything.
Yeah.
Dope. So you came back from the second tour when?
That was beginning of April, so like, just a few months ago.
A few months ago.
Yep.
Dope, man. Well, we're an hour in. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the second commercial break, and then we'll talk about. Well, first we're gonna play some rants and ratings. Lightning Gauntlet. I'm all confused in my podcast segments. We're going to put Just Wulf through the Lightning Gauntlet here. And then when that's done, we can talk about what you got going on now. And then I think you brought some music with today as well. A song by the name of Gettin By that we're going to play as well.
Cool.
So we'll get into the second commercial break. This is Organized Grind, the podcast with Orikal Uno, episode 37, kicking it with Just Wulf. We'll be right back.
Yo. Representing the Midwest, this is Truth Maze. Yes, y'all. Check out the new EP. It's entitled The Holy Bible. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Music and elsewhere. Red Pill Music, baby. You see, with my words I can heal or kill. Talk fuck shit or truly keep it real. I can grab up a burner and flame my brother, or he and I can train so we elevate each other. I could talk about pussy all day and all night and not admit I'm toxic and don't treat women right. I could tell everybody how to pop a new pill, or tell the next generation the matrix is real. Cause what I know is I hold the power at will. Still sharp and still, goddammit, it's ill. For mentally the blade I hold, it takes skill, specially designed so I can kill Bill. And the fake shit in me I need to reveal. That's what ability to build. My soul is my rock, my spirit's my shield. My soul is my rock, my spirit's my shield.
Yes, y'all. Organized Grind the podcast with Orikal Uno, episode 37. We got Just Wulf in the house. Shout out to my guy Truth Maze that advertisement was for. The music video for Hardcore Graffiti is coming out soon. Be on the lookout for that. But until then, check out Truth Maze's God's Hands music video on YouTube. I shot, directed, and edited that joint, as well as made the beat and recorded it. Truth Maze on the raps. Check it out. But yeah, we got Just Wulf here. We're about to put him through the Lightning Gauntlet. The Lightning Gauntlet is a game that we like to play at Organized Grind the podcast. It's basically 3 random questions. If you would like to submit questions for me to ask my various guests on the podcast, please send your questions to organizedgrindpodcast@gmail.com, and I will throw them in the pool, and I'll use them questions to ask the guests. But yeah, man, question number 1 of the Lightning Gauntlet for Just Wulf here. More than any other, what skill do you wish you were better at?
I would say painting.
Okay.
Painting. Well, like, I have a background and I just doodled a lot as a kid.
Sure.
Drew a lot of anime cartoons and trace things. But, like, for whatever reason, I can't blend colors together.
Okay.
At all. Like, or I guess not blending colors, but, you know, like shading, like being able to have something start at, like, a really light tone and then, like, have it gradually become darker.
Yep.
It's just, like, I'm, like, very, like, cut and paste. Or, like, I guess Microsoft Paint, like, you hit the fill button and then that's all you need to do. So,
right.
Like, I wish I was maybe a little bit better at painting and doing, like, the shading and stuff.
Sure. What were some of the anime characters that you would draw back then?
Oh man, Dragon Ball Z all the time.
Word up.
It was like, I think my drawing style is based off of the Dragon Ball Z anime. Like anytime, well, that and the Boondocks,
Oh,
which I don't know
word.
if they're considered an anime, but they definitely have some anime.
Hell yeah.
Anime roots. But like, yeah, like I can either only draw Dragon Ball Z or Huey or Riley Freeman.
Dope.
Characters.
Have you ever thought about like designing something for yourself as far as art for your songs or anything like that, like a project cover?
Kind of. I mean, I've thought about, actually the first like mixtape and unofficial EP that I dropped was artwork that I guess it was like a picture and then I just threw the text and stuff on there. There are a couple drawings on there, but yeah, recently I haven't. I know that there are people who are better at graphic design than me.
Sure.
Yeah,
So
but
you're like, I'll just hire you.
yeah, like if anyone's seen the wolf with the glasses logo, that was an idea I've had for so long.
Oh.
And I finally met the right person to put that into the world.
Who was that?
It was actually one of my coworkers. He does graphic design and ideation at my job, and so like we were just like sitting at a volunteer event and started to talk, and like he had a love for hip hop, I had a love for hip hop. This is like maybe like 3 years ago when I first came out the logo.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was like, I was like, hey, I'm looking for someone to like bring my idea into life, and like I've seen his work, and I'm like, I wonder if you could mess around with it and kind of do it. And so I gave him Carnage's logo, like with the face on it to kind of like mimic
sure.
It didn't turn out mimicking the face, but like I gave him the Timberwolves logo.
Yeah.
I think I gave him Toki Wright's logo because I wanted him to do some text, and Toki Wright had a dope logo back in the day.
Word up. Once again, that was made by Snakebird, who used to be in the group with Big Quarters.
Nice. That's dope.
It all ties back,
That's
man.
so dope. Yeah, I don't remember what else I sent him, but I'm just like, here's some like dope logos that I've bought. Like I have the physical shirts for that I just had to buy, and I'm just like take all these images, and then the idea of the glasses and the wolf with the beard.
Yeah.
He pulled it off, like executed perfectly. I'm like, this is exactly what I was looking for.
That logo's dope, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that logo's dope. All right, question number 2 of the Lightning Gauntlet. If you were given $500 cash and free unlimited limousine service for 24 hours, where would you want your driver to take you? And it says here, be specific about the locations you'd visit, but keep in mind the time frame as well as the amount of money that you've been given. So you have $500.
Yeah.
Free limousine. Go wherever you want for 24 hours. What would you do?
Does that include like round trip? Like, do we have to be back in 24? Is the limousine go leave me? He'd be like,
nope, it's the whole trip.
Clock is up.
Round trip, 24 hours.
Word. I don't know. I feel like the only thing that comes to mind is like Treasure Island or something.
Okay.
Because I mean, if I'm getting $500, like, I don't know. Maybe let's try to gamble it and see if we can make some more money out of $500.
Dope. I mean,
it would be a fun time regardless. I bring the homies with in the limo and we just have some fun at Treasure Island.
There you go. That's dope, man.
I wonder if they still got that seafood buffet I've been hearing about.
Dude, I haven't been there since I turned 18, and that was like 11 years ago, 12 years ago. I won a lot that night, though. Shout out Treasure Island. All right, question number 3. If you could sign any producer, MC, or DJ from any label to Hecatomb, who would it be?
Mickey Breeze.
Mickey Breeze.
Mickey Breeze, yeah, DJ Mickey Breeze. He'd be one of them. I'm sure Carnage has already talked to him about being a part of Hecatomb.
All right.
Now, I'm not sure if he's an official or unofficial member, but I know that he's got ties with me and Carnage for sure.
For sure. Besides Mickey Breeze and someone local, like let's think just fantasy alive.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Who would it be? Like your number one pick if you had anybody in the hip hop game to be like your Hecatomb and they're down with it. They're like, fuck yeah, I'm Hecatomb. I'm about to push this shit worldwide. Who would it be?
Oh man. Dude, that's a tough decision. I'm like trying to think practically of what could actually be possible and
Don't think practically, bro.
Dude,
your
man.
wildest fantasy signee that is like super down with it and ready to push it.
Oh man. Maybe like, well, okay, so the obvious one would be Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
I mean,
I like it.
Kendrick Lamar, maybe YBN Cordae.
Okay.
Logic. I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Yeah. I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, YBN. Big Crit's album came out and I'm like,
that's
dude,
right.
I forgot about how dope Big Crit was. I didn't actually forget. I just been waiting for him to come out with something, and he's like continuously like topping his previous work, and I'm just like, man.
Yeah. Can you imagine like a Carnage and Kendrick
collab? That'd be some wild stuff,
It'd
man.
be nuts.
Oh no, I know. Okay, top everybody. Ludacris.
Okay.
Ludacris would be the guy.
Sure.
Yep.
I could definitely see that.
For whatever reason, he's the only artist that I feel like has the best punchlines. Like, even though that sometimes they get overplayed.
Right.
But this is like, man, I've studied his punchlines and his metaphors. They're incredible.
His whole presentation, if you will, is just impeccably hip hop. Like, there's certain MCs that just personify hip hop. Like Redman is one of them. Like, when you think Redman, like, you just think fucking pure hip hop.
Yeah, hell yeah.
He's the same way, and it's, dude can flow, his voice, punchlines, lyrics, his beats, like everything, like the way he fucking looks.
Right.
Back in the day when he had the braids and did just the whole, or he had the fro out, and like you knew it was him from a mile away.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
he's the last one on my bucket list of live hip hop shows I want to see.
Oh, that'd be raw.
Yeah, I've only seen that he's been performing in Las Vegas. I feel like maybe like once a month at some nightclub, I'm like, I'm going to take a trip to Las Vegas.
Hell yeah.
Maybe that's what I'll use my limo ride for.
There you go. That's perfect. All right, man. Well, shit. Thanks for taking the Lightning Gauntlet. Yeah, man. We're at the end of this podcast. It's been great to have you. It's been great to chop it up and talk jewels. I think it's really cool that you're at the age that you are, and you've been able to get the experience that you've had, because it definitely is an advantage over. So, like, just hitting the road a little bit puts you at an advantage higher than what most people do.
Right.
So you're on a fucking great path right now. Why don't we talk about what you got going on now and what's in the future for Just Wulf?
Yeah. So just recently I've been making beats ever since I started making beats, but I've been way back into the production game a little more heavily. And I just recently dropped a beat tape. When was that? That was also a few months ago.
Okay.
I think March or April, around the time I went on tour. But I dropped a beat tape just to be like, I'm not only an MC live performer, but I also make beats.
Sure.
And so I dropped 13 tracks, have them streamed online. Made a batch of new beats since then and just started to recently sell them on SoundCloud. And I've sold, I think, 5 of the 16 beats I put up there in like the first week.
Dope, dude.
And so I didn't realize people were looking out for Just Wulf beats, but I mean, that's a whole nother market I've yet to explore. So I'm kind of establishing myself as an MC producer now.
Okay.
No more beat tapes on the rise as of yet, but I'm working on a project, the MC side of me, a project with Big Jess.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I've told people about this project, I feel like, for like the last year or so, but really the work is on my side, is to finish the writing and recording of the songs. And then like I already have all the beats that I need for the project.
Damn.
And I think I mentioned this at 1 or 2 shows, but this is like me officially like saying it on the live air. I'll put it online. But
yeah.
I got a verse from Chubb Rock on one of the songs.
What?
Yeah, I opened for Chubb Rock a few years ago. His mother had passed away.
Oh, damn.
And so like he was dealing with that after I'd followed up with him after that show, because he's like, yo, Just Wulf, I love your stuff. It's like, hit me up if you ever need anything. And so I hit him up to do a collab. And so it took probably a full calendar year for him to actually get me that verse.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that I have it. The only person who's heard it is Big Jess. And so I'm really excited to put that on there. Carnage is on the album as well.
Tight.
And I really, really hope, I get enough time to finish it, perfect it, and like have Big Jess be proud of it as well, and then put it out later this year. I don't have a set release date. I'm taking a step back from feeling anxious and pressured about like when I need to drop stuff and when's the perfect time to do whatever. But
good
timing, I can't let the timing get to me. I just want to be able to put something out that I know that I'm going to enjoy from beginning to end when I go back and listen to it.
For sure, man. Dude,
so I've done that with all my albums so far.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited about that project. So all right, so starting off, where can people listen to your beat tape?
So everywhere. Spotify, Amazon Music, Tidal, Google Play Music.
What do they
Apple
search
Music.
for?
So look for first my name, Just Wulf, spelled Just space WULF. The beat tape is called Wolves Never Hibernate, also with that same spelling, WULF.
Okay.
So if you just look up Wolves Never Hibernate, you'll find the beat tape. And yeah, all my newer beats that I made this year are on my SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/JustWulf.
Okay.
So if you're an MC listening to this all the way at the hour and a half mark on the end of this podcast, hit it up. Check out some beats. I'll sell you some beats for the low.
Dope, man. And then where can people find you on social medias? Go ahead and plug away.
Yeah. So super simple. Same thing, JustWulf. That's my handle or my tag for Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. My website's justwulf.com.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yeah. So, I make it really easy for people to find me. I used to brag that if you search Just Wulf, I take up like the first 8 pages on Google.
Hell yeah. That's where it's at, dude. Yeah. Whenever people get at me about the spelling of my name, I'm like, yeah, but Google that shit. And
see
you'll
what happens.
only find me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's super dope. Well, yo, man, we're going to get into your song. This is a song called Gettin By. Tell us a little bit about the track, man.
Yeah, so this is me and Big Jess worked. So it's produced by Big Jess.
Nice.
It's going to be on the tape. But he originally hit me up to have this on his Honorable Mention album.
Oh, dope.
Honorable Mention Volume 5 compilation album. But yeah, it's a little preview to what our next big thing is going to be.
Dope.
You'll be able to hear me in my more matured flow with him in his more matured production game.
Fucking crazy.
It's a perfect match, I would say.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for spending so much time here, sharing so much about your career. I'm looking forward to watching what you do. We'll have to have you back on and maybe talk just beats or selling beats or tips for producers to sell beats or whatever like that in the future. Yo, this has been Organized Grind, the podcast with Orikal Uno. Just Wulf has been our guest. This is his song called Gettin By, produced by Big Jess. As always, peace and love.
Organized Grind with Orikal Uno. Recorded live at Grapefruit Studios in South Minneapolis.
Honorable mention.
I cope with the lows just so I can feel the highs. I was down for so long, now I wanna kiss the skies. Multiplied by the times that I didn't feel adequate. Premeditated excuses I told so elaborate. Managing priorities was so quid pro quo. Management had ordered me to step up my workload. Damage done to relationships left unattended, filled with regrets from the ones I could have mended. It's a lonely road down the path of righteousness, unknowing if the next step is worth a fight for it. I might forfeit if the pressure is unbearable or implode beneath the sea level that's comparable. It's unfortunate if the pages are terrible. It lets demons sneak their way inside the parables. I believe that happiness was in the skies, the same place you're supposed to go when you die. I just feel like I'm getting by. Hopefully I don't go insane. I just feel like I'm getting by, doing my best to maintain. I just feel like I'm getting by. Hopefully I don't go insane. I just feel like I'm getting by, doing my best to maintain. This is something we all go through. You can call it out or ignore it if you want to. Most people have a hard time when they dwell there. Others get comfortable and make a living hell there. When I fell there, I couldn't take it. I was stuck in my ways and I couldn't shake it. I couldn't break it. I was too scared when I knew someday I could end up there again. It's not embarrassing to be afraid to win, especially if it's a battle that's fought within. I lost it when I convinced myself that I should only come after everybody else. So I put that mindset back up on the shelf and tried self-love to see if that would even help. And it did, I kid you not, I felt great. It's not that easy, believe me, it's so hard to make time for doing the things that you love to do, because the world will never revolve around you. I believe that happiness was in the skies, but I'ma go farther where gravity no longer applies. I just feel like I'm getting by. Hopefully I don't go insane. I just feel like I'm getting by, doing my best to maintain. I just feel like I'm getting by. Hopefully I don't go insane. I just feel like I'm getting by, doing my best to maintain.